All right, welcome everybody. This month of July, Julie has brought forward a new topic, something that we can all meditate on, and it's referred to in our community, if you will, oftentimes as monkey mind. We refer to it as busy mind. Very hard for us to stop the thoughts and feelings that just constantly tend to race in our minds. So we're going to play with that for the entire month of July. And like Julia said before, sometimes this can be distracting. There's the old story, parable, if you will, of the Buddhist master that tells his students, now at the count of three, I want you to not think of a monkey, all right? So 1, 2, 3. And inadvertently, the first thing we all think of typically is a monkey, and we can't get that silly monkey out of our head, and that's kind of where that comes from. So I know for myself, as a small child, my brain, I always felt, was way overactive. When I found my habit of choice, it quieted what I thought was very, very distracting, unusual, bizarre. I was freakish, very empathic of people. All these feelings that I carried for the better part of my life. And with years of study and practice and meditation, whether it be guided or just being guided, that busy mind often will come, and it is a challenge to quiet that mind. So we will take on that challenge this evening with a nice, easy meditation, playing with that subject a little bit. So if you would like, get yourself in whatever meditative position works best for you this evening, whether you're sitting upright or lying down, hanging out at the kitchen table, whatever that might be. We're going to take a moment and get in touch with our breath. So important is breath. We can't seem to survive without it for very long. I'm going to do a short breathing exercise, taking 3 very slow, deep inhalations, slow count of 8. Exhale for a slow count of 8. If you have a breathing exercise of your own, by all means, and then we'll go ahead and get started. As you continue to breathe and inhale in through the nostrils, feel the oxygen as it fills your lungs, energizes the body, flows into the blood. And as you exhale, begin to just let go of the day and just breathe. Bring to mind any tension that might lie between the ears, the forehead. Relax the cheeks, the jaw, down through the neck. Let it roll over your shoulders, down your arms, past the elbows, over the forearms. Just let that tension drain from the palms of your hands to the ground. And just breathe. Bring to mind any tension that might reside in between the shoulder blades, down through the back, in the chest, in the abdomen, down through the hips, across the legs, over the knees. Relax the calves, over your ankles, and just let the tension drain out of the bottom of your feet. Mother Earth is happy to take it. And just breathe. This evening I thought we'd take a little journey and head out west to a dude ranch. Imagine, if you will, an old western ranch. As you approach, you see the big sign up above the archway. This is the Busy Brain Ranch. And as you walk underneath the sign, you see a great big stable. See some barns, some rolling green hills. Imagine a blue sky, some white fluffy clouds. Sun rays as they touch your forehead. And off to your left is a corral of wild horses. The Busy Brain Ranch is a retirement community for old race horses that have spent their lives running around a track, running in circles, trying to constantly beat the other horses. And as they get sent to this ranch, they're all placed in a corral, big round corral with 8 horses. And as you feel your footsteps in the dirt below and slowly approach the corral, you'll notice that the horses are getting a little bit anxious and antsy. They start running in circles around the big corral. Not sure what to do. They get nervous and they run and they move side to side and they pace. And you calmly walk up to the corral and just stop. Bring to mind your breath. See the horses as they move. Their tails, their manes as they move back and forth in the wind. Yet cluttered together, moving from side to side, running around in circles. And you can just stand there and just breathe. Soon one of the horses tends to calm down. It's the lead horse. All the other horses seem to follow this one. And the horse gently moves over towards the gate, and as it gets closer to you, you see the name on the side of his saddle. This horse is Anxious Andy. Anxious Andy has run many miles. Anxious Andy is a horse that represents the future. Oftentimes when we feel anxious, it's because we're living in the future. And Anxious Andy is ready to get out. So imagine your hand touching the top of the gate, slowly swinging the door open. And anxious Andy is ready to head out to pasture, and off he goes. The other 7 horses remain in there, still nervous, still pacing, still wandering around in the corral, not sure what to do. As anxious Andy wanders further and further away. And just breathe. Soon another horse slowly approaches the gate. And as she gets closer, you see on the side of her saddle, her name is Sandra D. Press. Sandra D. Press is a horse that represents the past. Oftentimes, when we're depressed, it's because we're living in the past. But Sandra D. is ready to leave the corral. And as you gently open the gate, she gives a little snort and moves along. She heads out to pasture. And you breathe. The horses are still moving back and forth, getting a little bit calmer as the herd gets a little smaller. The next horse that comes forward, as you see on the side of his saddle, the name Fearful Joe. Fearful Joe represents the fear in our lives. The fear, whether it's real or we imagined it, whether we learned it very young or maybe just brought something new forward. But Fearful Joe is retired now, and he's looking to go to pasture. And as he approaches the gate, you swing it open. He gives you a nod, and Fearful Joe heads out to pasture. And you breathe. Five horses remain, still a little anxious as they still wander in circles, following one another. And as time moves on, one more horse comes forward. This retired racehorse's name you can see on the side of the saddle. This is Shameful Bessie. Shameful Bessie represents the shame in our lives. Shame brought on either as a child, maybe something in high school or college, something as an adult. Shameful Bessie, her head hangs low. She doesn't make eye contact, but nonetheless, she too is ready to leave the corral. And as you slowly open the gate, Shameful Bessie, with her head down low, begins to pick it up, looks out over the pasture, and heads on out. And we breathe. Four horses left. The rushing around is slowed to a walk, still unsure, still a little unsteady, but beginning to calm down. And once more, a horse steps out from behind the rest, slow and hesitant, but nonetheless heads towards the gate. As the saddle gets close, you can see his name. This is the racehorse, Guilty Gus. Guilty Gus represents the guilt in our lives, something that was put upon us or something that we hold on by ourselves. Maybe not sure why. The guilty Gus is ready to leave the corral and head out to pasture. And though hesitant, he too lifts his head, looks towards the pasture, and moves on. And we breathe. Three horses left, still a little unsure, but slowing down, still moving, following one another. And once again, one more horse approaches the gate. As the saddle gets near, we see on this horse's saddle the name Judge Judy. Judge Judy represents the judgments in our lives, the judging that we do unto others, the judging that we do unto ourselves. But Judge Judy, who's retired, is ready to go out to pasture. And as you gently open the gate, she lifts her head and heads on out. And we breathe. Two horses left, separated in the corral, not sure what to do. And finally, one more steps forward. And as the saddle gets closer, you see on his saddle the name Jealous Jake. Jake represents the jealousy in our lives, the wanting and yearning of things that maybe we don't have, that we feel like we should or would just like to have, something that somebody else has. But Jake's run hard his whole life and he's ready to retire. And as you open the gate, Jake lifts his head and heads out to pasture. And we breathe. One horse left. And though still not sure, but finally decides it's okay to head for the gate. And as she does, the saddle reads on the side, Hateful Henrietta, a retired racehorse that represented the hate in our lives. Sometimes hard to admit that this horse even exists. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But somewhere in our lives we've come across hatred. But this horse has run hard. And it's time to run, go to pasture. And one last time as we open that gate, Hateful Henrietta moves on. And we breathe. As we look into the corral, we see emptiness. We see stillness. The dust is settled. The horses have all gone to pasture. And we breathe. And take one last look as you turn around out over the open fields. See all the horses as they are off in the distance, free, grazing, still out there somewhere, and someday may return to the corral. But at any time, you can open the gate and let them out. And find that stillness. Let the dust settle. And just breathe. So being very gentle with yourself, slowly take a deep breath. Gently bring yourself back to the room. Thanks, everybody. And for those of you that are new, we hope you feel welcome. You certainly are, and we hope to see you come back soon. So let's go ahead and just settle in. Take a deep breath. This evening we visited the Busy Brain Ranch. We entertained the thought of watching our wild emotions as they run back and forth, kicking up dust and all anxious and nervous and running together inside the corral. And yet, one by one, we can release them out into pasture. May we recognize that each and every person that we come across in our week and our days ahead, they too have horses running wild in their corral. Give them peace and grace. Have a wonderful evening, a great week. Namaste.